This Friday night at 7:30 p.m. on KEDT TV's South Texas Leaders, Libby Averyt, President and CEO of the United Way of the Coastal Bend, talks with Philip John Ramirez. Principal owner and president of Turner Ramirez Architects, Philip Ramirez graduated from Gregory Portland High School and went on to the University of Texas at Austin, receiving a Bachelor of Architecture in 2003. He served as chair of the City of Corpus Christi Planning Commission, helping in 2016 to push forward the first citywide comprehensive development plan in almost 30 years. He also served on the 10-member transition team to eventually merge the Hispanic Chamber and the Corpus Christi Chamber of Commerce.
In your capacity in many of the volunteer positions that you hold through the Chamber, the EDC, Driscoll, other entities, you have a unique opportunity to see a lot of leaders at work in our community.
Yes.
Tell me what you admire in other leaders. What kinds of traits do you admire?
I think that seeing leaders truly come together and find ways to find commonality and common ground to affect decisions, even though we may not agree fully, but we are able to find a common ground, and watching people that have that capacity to do that and bring people together, bring issues together, and find a common ground to move things forward is really a trait that I admire very much. And it's a difficult task to do, and not everybody is capable of doing it.
Right.
And the counter to that is that kind of I talked about kind of that authoritarian top-down style, and I just think that the most effective leaders that I see are the ones that really lead through bringing people together and making tough decisions in the face of adversity, but are willing to work with others and find the common thread and begin to work on that and set their differences aside. And maybe you don't ever fully agree, but at least you get something done. And I think that's a very important trait that I hope to see continue in our community. And I've seen many people, yourself included, I've seen many people that have that trait and character and quality, and I admire that more than anything in a leadership position.
You know, what comes to mind is the merging of the Hispanic Chamber and the Corpus Christi Chamber, and you obviously were very closely involved in that. Do you feel like that was a good example of what you're describing?
That's absolutely, it's a perfect example.
Right.
Two very different organizations, similar on paper, but very different functionally, very different culturally. There was a lot of fear at the time that we were discussing this, and I think there were several situations where both sides became entrenched, and it felt like it was going to fall apart. But in the end, it was a willingness for everybody to say, look, we're going to put our differences aside and find that common ground that we can begin to build something that we can work off of. And through that process, it eventually just became something bigger and bigger and bigger, to where we found it was like, look, there's not much we're not agreeing on here. But it took a few key individuals there to kind of bring everybody back to the table and say, no, we're not going to let this fall apart. We need to find the common ground. This is what we all want to do. And I want to thank everybody that was a part of that merger, because it was tough going, but in the end, it's what's come out on the other side is a much more stronger, capable organization.
KEDT TV's South Texas Leaders airs Friday nights at 7:30 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 10:30 a.m. Episodes can also be viewed at pbs.org by putting South Texas Leaders in the search box.